Guys, this is Hi Daddy Kitchen, and today we're going to be preparing pepper soup or light soup, whichever way you like to call it. It's very simple, and these are the ingredients here. So the main star of the show, these are called garden eggs. You can find them in your local Caribbean or African or Asian shops. Yeah, I would normally use the fresh ones, but I can't find them, so I've got frozen ones. So they pretty much work the same way. Yeah, so that's the garden eggs. That's the first ingredient. Then I've got the Scotch bonnet chili. I'm going to be using 4 of these bad boys. Now they're extremely hot, hence the name pepper soup, but I actually like my food quite spicy, so this is why I'm going to be using this. Okay, so that's 4 of these I'll be using, 4 Scotch bonnets. Okay, then I've got, of course, I've got garlic here. I'm not going to use the whole of it, I'm just going to use about 5 pieces of it. Yeah, and I've got ginger, like in most African and Asian foods and Caribbean foods. Ginger smells lovely, it's fresh, that's good for your immune system too. I've also got bay leaf. I'll be using 4 of these. Helps hide and mask the smell of the meat. And I've got some onions. I'll be using 3 large onions. I don't know if that's large or medium, but I'll be using 3 onions. I'll be cutting 2 of them and boiling it with the meat. And then the third one I will blend with the garlic and ginger to then go over it. Okay. 1 tin tomato, preferably plum tomato, because it has this extra sweet taste which helps make the soup taste even lovelier. And for seasoning, good old Maggi cubes. Now I'll be using about 4 of these just to help flavor the meat, and that's all the seasoning that's going to be going into this. Now I don't eat a lot of salt, but in these little things there's quite a lot of salt in there anyway, so you don't really need to add salt afterwards as well. Okay, so that's all the seasoning I'll be using in this dish, the Maggi cubes, and that's it. Another good thing about this soup as well is you don't have to use oil, which is always a plus. So anyway, I'm just going to turn the camera down here so you can have a once over look at what I'll be cooking with. Oh, I almost forgot the meat. Okay, so I'll be using goat meat. I hope you can see here. I'll be using goat meat. I bought 5 pounds of goat meat, but I'm not going to be using all of it because that'll be way too much. So I'm using about 3 pounds or £2.50 worth of goat meat. Yeah. And I'll also be using about 6 pieces of cow foot, which helps give the soup extra flavoring. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do before you start anything else like seasoning the meat, what I normally do is in a bowl or in a whatever this is, yeah, you got your chilies in there, you've got your garden eggs in there, fill it with some water. Yeah, so with some water there, and now we're just gonna have this, we're just gonna boil it till it goes soft, then we'll blend it with the plum tomatoes, which will then go in the last minute. Okay, so before you start anything, just have this going first. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing now is we're going to put your meat inside your main bowl. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Yeah, so just the meat goes in there. That's both the goat meat and the cow foot. Yeah, so that goes in there. So you leave that to one side for now whilst you chop up your onions. Okay. For some reason I just like taking this first layer of onions off. I don't know what it is, but I always do it. But anyway, so that goes off. So your onions there. Now you're going to chop them into fine pieces. Okay, so literally sort of like that. Yeah, or however you like them, as long as they're chopped onions, really, you know. So that will go into the meat. So like I said, we're chopping 2 large onions. I may do 2.5, I'll see how it looks. Okay, so that's the second onion. Now I'm glad you guys can't see my face right now because my eyes are starting to water. Okay, so again, chop up the onions nice and fine. Okay, and then all it is it just goes in there. Okay, just get it all in there. Okay, so at this stage, obviously there's no seasoning, there's no nothing on the meat, no flavoring, no nothing. Yeah, so that's all it is, just the onion first with the meat. Okay. Okay, so now the next stage now, let me just dry my hands. Next stage now is the Maggi cubes. Now I probably should have taken the the wrapper off before I started filming, but I'm new at this, so bear with me. Hopefully I'll figure out how to speed up this section when I'm editing, but if not, you can just forward it maybe a minute or 2. Okay, so all it is I'm just taking the wrapper off the Maggi cubes. Okay. What an amateur. Should have done this before now, so. But anyway. Okay. So there's 5 Maggi cubes here. So you just basically just crush them in. Some of them are tough, but most of them should break nice and easy. Okay, so at the moment, the stage that we're at, we've got the chopped onions in there, we've got the cow foot and the goat meat with bone in there, and we've got the Maggi cubes also in there. So you just have to now just mix it all up. Just mix it all up nicely, get all the seasoning on everything. I probably should have used a bigger pot, but never mind, we'll make it work. So as the video goes on, if you see the pot changing, I probably would have put it in a bigger pot, but if not, then we stay the same. Okay, so now at this stage now we're gonna get the boiling going, so let me just switch this on. Okay, so you can now apply in there your bay leaves. Okay, it's about what, 4 or 5 pieces in there. Okay, and just leave that to boil and do its own thing. Okay. Right. So now the next stage is we're going to make a little sauce that's going to go into the boiling meat. Once the onions get soft, you're going to then pour this sauce inside. So now that remaining onion, you're going to chop it up. You don't have to chop it as fine as you did the ones that were actually going with the boiling meat. So with this one, Oh, these onions are bad, isn't it? Anyway, I'll just take the good part. Let's cut this bit off. Okay, so this I would normally just cut it into 4. It just goes into the blender. Okay, now the garlic. I said I wasn't going to use all of it. If you like a really strong taste of garlic, then you can go ahead and use all of it, but I'm not a really huge fan of garlic, you know. Just makes things very smelly, but it does help the taste of the soup. So I'm just going to use about, let me see, how many is that? 4? Yeah, about, yeah, let me use about 5. Yeah, so obviously you take the skin off. Now again, in hindsight, I should have done this before filming, because I'm sure you guys would not put a garlic inside your soup without taking the skin off. But then you never know. There's a bunch of dudes that will be watching this, so I better do it and make it simple, because some of my brothers out here are useless. Yeah. So anyway, let's get back into it. So I'm showing you, make sure you take the skins off. Some of you guys that can't cook, and some of you girls that don't know nothing. Okay? I probably shouldn't say this in these videos. Yeah, but anyway, we all gotta learn. I had to learn cooking from my grandparents as well as my mum. Okay, so it's good, and I'm so glad that I learned to cook, especially the things that I like to eat. So there's no trouble in the home. If the wife ever comes home and says, Nelson, I'm tired, or today I want you to cook, it's not a problem, because I actually enjoy cooking, so it does help, you know. So anyway, let's get back into it. So the garlic, just crush it, put them in. I find that when you crush it, it helps blend easier, rather than getting lumps of garlic in your soup. So just crush it a little bit, help the blender out. Maybe it's because I've got a very cheap blender, maybe that's why it doesn't do such a good job, but by helping it out, we get to where we're getting to. Okay, now again, here's the ginger, lovely fresh ginger. I love ginger, but don't use too much, because if you do use too much, it tends to make the soup a bit bitter. Okay, so try not to use too much ginger unless you like that kind of stuff. But on a regular basis, I just love ginger, you know. Have my ginger teas, ginger ice cream, ginger ginger beer. Let me stop talking rubbish, but anyway, ginger everything. Okay, so I'm just going to use these 2 pieces here. I'll probably cut up a small piece, which I will then add also to the boiling meat. It also helps hide and mask the smell of meat as well. I'm not a big fan of the smell of meat. I love to eat it, yes, but I'm not a big fan of the smell. So this gives it a great flavor, as well as it helps to hide the smell. Okay, so again with the ginger, just cut it up. It helps the blender blend nicely. Okay. Yeah, let me just add this one in there. Okay, and just cut off a small piece here that I'm gonna add, probably not all of it, to the actual boiling meat itself. Okay, so these ones, just give it a fine chop. Yeah, just fine chop, just like that. Okay, and just add it to the boiling meat. Okay. Alright. Now, I've lost my... Okay guys, so this is what it's looking like at the moment. We're still waiting for the onions to get slightly more softer and the meat to get slightly more browner. Brownie? Is that even a word? It needs to get a bit more brown, okay? And you get more liquid that will come out of the meat as well, which obviously will help your soup taste great. So at this point, what I normally do, we just add a bit of water to it as well. Don't go too crazy with the water. Okay, don't go too crazy with the water. So I'll add about maybe half a cup of water. Yeah, and just give it a stir. It's on a low heat as well, so don't go crazy. It's on a low heat. So you just want to leave this on for now and just let it keep on cooking, because the cow foot is something that's quite hard, and it's very rubbery if you don't let it cook well. Yeah, so let it cook well. It will also give it extra flavor and everything. So we'll just leave that at this point to just cook for about another 10 minutes, and then we'll add the next thing inside it. Okay. Okay, so when it comes to the boiling meat, just stir it every 5 to 10 minutes, maybe every 5 minutes. Just give it a stir, help some of the meat that's already on top have a turn at the bottom, so in turn obviously they cook better. Okay, especially the cow foot is mainly the main problem, because it's a hard meat, but it's full of so much flavor. That's why so many of us love it. Okay, if you guys could smell this, you would know, man, this guy ain't kidding. But yeah, anyway, so I have just stirring it up now, just getting all the meat to settle nicely. So like I said, the heat is not on a very high heat, and it's not on a very low heat. It's just it's on a medium heat, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so at this stage, you can dip a finger in, have a little taste. If the level of seasoning is not up to what you like, you can add 1 or 2 more Maggi cubes at this stage. Okay, because obviously once you flavor the meat, it will then obviously make your soup even more nicer. But don't go too crazy with the Maggi cube, because sometimes once you put the Maggi cube inside it, the full flavor of the Maggi cube may not come out yet till it cooks a little bit more. And if you've already put too much in, then obviously it'll be too late and it'll be way too salty. Okay, because the Maggi cubes, they do have quite a lot of salt inside of them. Okay, so when you put them in, just put them in moderation, so maybe 2 at a time or whatever. Okay, I mean at this stage only. Okay. Okay, so I've just blended the garlic, ginger, and onions. Yeah, garlic, ginger, onions, that's right. And half a cup of water. So now that's just going to go inside the boiling meat. Yeah. Get it all out. All out in there. Give it a stir. Okay, and just keep it boiling. So the next stage now will be the stage where we're going to add the garden eggs and the chili, as well as the plum tomato. So the way to make sure that the garden eggs are ready is to get something sharp and then just give it a poke. Give it a poke, and if it's soft enough, then it's pretty much good to go. Okay, so that will be the next stage. So I'm just going to wash out the blender, and then inside here we're going to have the garden eggs, the chili, and 1 plum tomato or chopped tomato. I prefer plum, like I said earlier on. You just have a sweeter taste. Or you can use just the chopped tomato or whatever tomato you have, but not tomato puree. Yeah, I have to specify because some of the man them are watching. Okay, not tomato puree, guys. Yeah, not tomato puree. Okay. So anyway, let me wash this and then let's go on to the next stage. Okay, so for the next and final stage of this cooking process of the light soup or pepper soup, we're going to be adding the garden eggs, chili, and the tin tomato. So be careful of this. It's obviously boiling water. Okay. Okay, so you take out the garden egg. It's nice and soft. Now it's really hot at this stage, so you got to be careful. Okay. So all you're gonna do now, just cut the head off. Now, originally, if I had found the fresh garden eggs, obviously I would have cut them off right at the beginning rather than doing this at this stage. Okay? Okay? So just cut the top off. Be careful, it is hot. So that's why the fresh ones are easier to work with, because I wouldn't have to be doing this if I had the fresh ones. I would obviously cut them off already. Okay, so we'll just do it anyway. The chili, that was already cut off nicely. That goes in there. And now the plum tomatoes will also go inside the blender. Okay. Okay, so we're just gonna blend it all together now. Keep the blender on nicely and give it a good blend so you can break it all up nicely, because this is what's going to form the majority of our soup. So now at this stage, next thing that I would normally do is I will boil some hot water, yeah, because that's what's going to help bring up the level of the soup. Okay, so whilst you're blending this, boil some hot water in your kettle. Okay, so once this is finished blending, you can use a sieve. Anyway, I'll show you. So I'm just going to blend this and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we're at the final stage. So now, get you a sieve. This is what it looks like. Those of you who don't know what a sieve is, that's what a sieve looks like. So that goes on top of your soup. Now this blend is the garden eggs and the chili and 1 tin plum tomato. That's all that's in there. Yeah, so that's gonna go in there. Now the sieve is just gonna help catch any bits that were not blended properly, so you don't get a lumpy soup. Okay, so now the boiled hot water that I said earlier on, that's boil, just plain water. Okay, that's just gonna get the bits from the bottom of the blender so you don't waste anything. You just pour it in the blender, all of it. Okay, now you could pour it directly into the sieve, but I don't like wasting bits of food that's left at the bottom of the sieve. Okay, so now at this point, just pour it into the sieve only. Okay, great. And then with that, just push whatever remaining that needs a bit of help to get through. Okay, give it a good squeeze, get all of it out. Okay, now see, the main purpose of this sieve is exactly that. This is the seeds from the chili and some of the seeds from the garden eggs. Now some people like it all into their soup, but I don't. I like it light because it's light soup. It's as simple as that. So this is the whole main reason of the sieve. It just keeps out what's not supposed to be in the soup. Okay, so that goes in the bin. Okay, and at this stage, just give it a good stir. I should have used a bigger pan, but it's all good. You get the point. The main point is knowing how to cook it. Okay, so at this point, the soup is pretty much, there's nothing more that needs to go in. So I will turn the heat down on a nice medium heat. and just cook out the rest of the soup. So how you will know that the soup is ready is the top layer. You will see that the oil will turn a dark red. Okay, that's how you know the soup is ready. So keep it on a nice medium to low heat so it can cook nicely. If you keep it on a high heat, it's going to boil it, and then your soup is just going to shrink because it's just going to vaporize everything, and we don't want that. We don't want to finish off the pepper soup that way. Okay, so just keep it on a nice medium to low heat and just let it boil nicely. Okay, that way it will cook through and your soup will not just go down and into heaven for no reason. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the camera here and I will bring it back to show you what the finished soup looks like. Okay, so stay tuned. Okay guys, so this is the final stage of the pepper soup, and as you can see, like I described right from the beginning, how you figure out or how you know that it is done. See the red oil here? That pretty much lets you know that the pepper soup is done. Okay, so just keep an eye out for that red layer up top. I don't know if you can see more better like that. Yeah, so that red layer there, that is what shows you that the pepper soup is ready. Okay, and then there you go. That's pepper soup, folks. So now I'm just gonna make some fufu, and I'm gonna cut back to you in a minute once I finish licking my fingers. Okay guys, so this is the final bit of the pepper soup. I've just made the fufu. The soup is ready, so now we just serve. Okay, so you see the red oil at the top of the fufu. Just give it a nice little stir. It will go off to one side. Okay, and then up you go. Boom. Look at that. Just look at that, mate. Come on, mate. Who's that? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? You know what I mean? There we go. Let me get one cow foot as well. Here we go. Look at that. Just look at that. Come on. Come on. Come on. And there you go. That's your light soup or pepper soup served beautifully with fufu. A day. Come on.